Hi, everyone. Welcome to Stamp It Your Way for September. I had to think about what month we were in for September of Stamp It Your Way. I'm Betsy Kreider, and my sidekick over here is Mary Ellen Stites, and we are happy to be with you here to do a little card making, right?
That's right. It's our favorite time of the month.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Being together, stamping together, and showing you and inspiring you and giving you some great ideas that you can do at home. And please make sure you share with us. We love to see what you're making.
Oh, definitely. That's the funnest part is people taking the suite of products and then making cards and then sharing it with us. We love that.
Absolutely.
We're here
Absolutely.
to keep you stamping and staying creative. That's
Exactly.
our goal. So
Yay. We try anyway. We try. That's our goal. We're trying. We're doing
let
our
us
best. I think so.
let us know in the comments if it works. Let us
Yeah,
know.
please do.
Or if you
Feedback.
like for
Feedback is good.
feedback, it's nice. Just jot a little note like, no, you bug me. No,
No, don't do that.
no, don't do that. I'm just kidding. No, you were so
We
wonderful.
would never be bugs.
No, no.
Speaking of creepy crawly things, you and I are about ready to celebrate our favorite holiday, right? That
Yeah.
we're best friends, but both of us really, really like Halloween. We are true Halloween junkies. So Mary Ellen's got her little skeletons on. There you go. I've got my little glow in the dark ghosts on.
Cute.
Right. I got those at the local craft fair this summer, and I was like, oh, and she
So
said
cute.
they glow in the dark, and I'm like, oh, sold. I want those.
Super
I want
cute.
those. Yeah. And then my shirt.
That's
Where
adorable.
where are my ghouls at? You my ghoul? Where are my ghouls at? So we're
Um,
decorated today just to trying to get in the spirit of Halloween. We're a little early, but it's always good to get started on your card ideas before Halloween actually gets here and your treat giving and all that. So we're going to show you some really cute products today. Are we ready to get started?
yeah, I think so. And I think that the first comment that people should make, like do it
Mhm.
right now, is do you love Halloween? Yes or no. So let us know.
Yes.
Halloween is your one of your favorite holidays. So we
Yeah.
want to
Yeah. You want?
yeah,
Yeah. We want to know.
do this thing. I'm super excited to show the product. So we're going to start in the new mini holiday catalog, September to December. So it just went live in September. And on page 48 and 49 is the suite that we're featuring. And this is the Them Bones suite. And it features the Bag of Bones stamp set and dies and paper. And I'm going to just close this and show you them in real life. So here's the Bag of Bones stamp set that we're going to be using today. Super, super cute. It's all about the skeletons.
Don't
And
be intimidated by all the little stamps. They
yeah,
are
no,
go together very easily. Don't be
yes, and
intimidated
we're
by all
going
the
to
little
show you.
stamps.
We're going to show you. You know, I've been watching this commercial on TV, and I think it's for. I could be wrong. I think it's for those peanut butter cups, not to be named the name, and
Yeah.
they have a skeleton, and I think it would be so cool. They have the skeleton like playing their bone legs like a guitar, and so I am bound and determined to take some of
Uh,
these pieces and lift up the leg and like they're playing a skeleton guitar. So comment,
that would
let
be
us know if
so
you've seen
cute.
that. Cute, right?
Yes.
Okay, then here are all
You
the dice.
figure out how to do that and then tell me how to do it and I'll case it from you, okay?
Yeah, super cute. Don't look at some of the things on here because I just use old sheets, but look at all these dies. I mean, I love that there's so much more than you noticed in the stamps. We didn't have the cowboy hat. There's cowboy hat and a couple different ones and some cowboy boots. What is this? Could this be like a baby guitar? No, it's for the rose. I thought it was a little guitar. I'm like,
For a
could
minute,
it
it
be?
looks like
Look
a
at
little baby
no,
guitar,
I'm not
doesn't
kidding.
it?
We could make this baby work. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
lots of like everything has a little die cut. So cute. But look at this paper. So the this is reminiscent of the Fresh as a Daisy paper, this first page here, where you've got some main images that you could just cut this apart and make this into cards. But let's go ahead and look at all the pages together.
Oh my gosh, there's so not. Yeah, there's so many good ones.
I think we both used this sheet. This one we're using, and then this paper here. Did you use this one?
I did. I used the tombstones on my card. Yes.
But I loved the plaid. I love the plaid. And then I use this paper.
Little dancing skeletons.
Yes. And in the back, I use this one with the bones. And then here again could be cut apart like this. Let me get it all in the camera. And then cut in 5/4. And you've got the fronted card. I think that you might have used that in one of your cards.
I did. Anybody that got the kit, that's one of the things they're going to do with that paper is they're going to cut it down to a card front size.
And then we've got little bats and then a nice starry sky pattern. So super, super cute. Let me move that out of the way and then I'm going to cough a little. Just because. Now, these are the two things I'm super excited about. I'm going to take a drink because I got a tickle.
There you go.
These are glow-in-the-dark elements. So this is glow-in-the-dark paper. And it is super cool. And we've used these on the cards. And you've got some glow-in-the-dark paper in your kit. And these glow-in-the-dark embellishments. And I'm going to try to do it. The light, you can see all the color just in the daylight. But turn the lights out. And hello, super, super cute.
They are very cute.
I'm going to just quickly turn to that page. You can see here the glow-in-the-dark effect. So cute.
Yeah.
And then here, and this one here.
I remember playing with it when we were trying to design cards for this. And I remember going out into my hallway and turning off all the lights and being like, can I see it? Because it glow in the dark?
That's what we did. We went in the bathroom and shut the door. But we will give you just a little disclaimer on that. These elements were out of stock, but they should be back in stock now. So if you want these glow-in-the-dark elements all to yourself, you better go and grab them now. And then the glow-in-the-dark paper should be back in October 2nd. So yeah. Hoping that doesn't delay any more than that. So just to give you a heads up on the
it is super popular. So popular. Yeah.
So I'm going to start, Betsy, with this card right here. It's so cute. I mean, the little skeleton, and he says, bonjour, sweet friend.
I can just hear the accent already. I can hear it. I can hear it in my head.
I know. Bonjour, sweet friend. So let me grab the pieces that you're going to need for that. And they are here. You've got your envelope. This is smoky slate paper. It is 4 1/4 by 11. And then you're going to, if you're one of our kit people, you are going to cut your designer series paper per the directions that are in your tutorial. Then, hello, look at these. This is a new die, and I actually brought it here so you could see them.
I was glad you had them because I was going to say, we need to show those because you don't get the full impact until you see all of them.
You have no idea. Like, I don't even know. Look at that.
Right.
So someone might go, why do I need a die that big? And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to show you right here. Look at, what if you cut that? This would be a whole element. You could run this through your embossing folder and just like a half of a card like that. I mean, or your scrapbooker, but there are 14 of these, 14 dies. Yeah. So, I mean, that to me was like a must have. Whoops, I lost a little bat. Got to find out where he goes. I'm going to put him right there a little bit. And then you need some paper for, he's stuck to me.
That's everywhere.
You'll need some paper for your inside layered, and then you'll need a little scrap for your words. So this card goes together really, really quickly. So let me get started with it. And I am going to kind of slide my pieces off to the side. And I always start, it seems like I always start with cutting or folding my card base. And you know how much I love my bone folder, because when I just folded that, there's a little bit of a wrinkle, I'll say, for lack of a better term. And so using your bone folder just gives you a nice crisp edge. So you're going to take your designer series paper and you're going to lay it down on your card. This is, like I said, this is a really easy one. So I like to make it so that my 3 sides are equidistant. And then you're going to use your gray bones paper, and you're going to lay that right on top wherever you want. It's just that we're not even using a second layer. Use your designer series paper as your layer. And then we're going to do some stamping. And I'm going to show you a little bit of techniques on all these pieces. Because remember, there's a lot of little bone pieces. So we're going to start with, they're all kind of separated. So we're going to start with this guy here. And this is just the little head and body. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to add his arms. And I'm going to add this one on this side. And he's kind of got his, I'm going to have him have his arm kind of on his hip, right? And then the other arm is going to be up in the air because he's going to be holding, whoops, a little flower. And I'm going to grab that right now before I even put his legs on, because I want to show you a little technique with his legs. So he's going to be saying, bonjour, sweet friend.
There you go.
Bonjour. I don't know.
But the thing I love about this card is that the layout of it is so easily reproduced with any suite that you have, or any paper, or any item that you have. You just take 2 pieces of designer series paper and have a third accent piece, and then add. Yeah, exactly. Very cute.
So what I'm doing here is I'm laying his legs out so that I can pick them up with the block, just like that. So then if I'm going to duplicate this, like I want to make, 5 of these for all my great nieces and nephews, then I can just have them all be ready to go. So now I've got my legs right where I want them, and I don't need it to be on the page because it's perfectly fine like that. So now we have to add we have to bring our memento ink back in, and we're going to add our little beret and our mustache and our little scarf. And that's about the hardest part, is getting that mustache in the right place. I hope I'm not sticking my head in the way, but I'm going to.
No, you're fine. So is that one stamp, or did you put those 3 stamps together?
This is one stamp. Thank you for
asking. Oh, it is one stamp. Okay.
That is one stamp. Yep. Oh, I didn't do
cute.
Oh my. Yes, this is one stamp. Just to prove it, it's one
cute
stamp. Don't have to even worry about placement. That is wonderful. And then the last thing is he needs a little heart, right? So we're going to add a little heart to this little French skeleton. Bonjour. I can't stop saying that. Bonjour.
I'm going to be hearing you say that later on this evening. I'm like, bonjour is going to be coming into my head.
I know. I'm going to pop him up with dimensionals. You could lay him flat. I just want a little bit of dimension on it, and this would be the place where I'm going to get it. So we're going to add him to our card right here. We're going to kind of bring him off to the right side a little. You could center him here. I just like to fill the kind of the whole card out. And then we're going to take this little scrap of paper here. I didn't really realize I had bones, but that's okay. And then I'm going to just add it. Oops. And we're just going to put this. I'm trying to see if I have it straight, I think, because I don't want to steer you wrong on that. I think it's going to be okay because we'll cover it up with our words. So now we've got a scrap of paper here, and we're going to bring in the word bonjour. And I'm going to use some, I could use, there's lots of things. I don't even remember what I use, but any dark ink. I'm going to use the basic gray. And then the other greeting is, no bones about it, you're a sweet friend, but I only want sweet friend. I'm going to, because our pads are raised, I'm going to first make sure that's clean. And I think I can get sweet friend. And even if I get over it, I can use my scissors. Let's see how I did. Oh, it's not bad.
That looks good.
Pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last thing we have to do is just cut this out and add it to our card and then stamp our inside, and we're done. So this is a super quick and easy. Sometimes we like to do something that's easily duplicatable. I mean, and when I say they're all easily duplicatable, but what I mean by that is time-wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
something that
This
when
is,
you're
you
printing,
could mass produce this card
yes,
very
yes,
easily.
yes, very easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna swipe my little,
Especially with your tip on how to put the bones on the stand,
yeah.
on the block, that you could have that all kind of lined up. Even on like one of the larger blocks, you could line the whole thing up.
Okay, so because I'm strategically trying to get rid of that little skeleton because it looks disjointed to me, but that's what a skeleton is, I guess. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
add my words. Whoops, I can't do that because it'll go off my
Goes off
card.
the page.
But I think that's okay,
That's cute.
like that. All right, so there's
Yep.
my, that's my outside. So then I want to work on my inside, and I've got those two pieces here, and I'm just going to do some simple stamping. And that's just bringing in the smoky slate that I used for the actual skeleton. And I'm going to stamp Halloween, Happy Halloween. Just like that. And then I'm going to bring in these two adorable little bats. It fits right in that little notch right there. You
So
could
cute.
use the same one, but I mean, and because we like to have three, let's just put one more down like that.
Sure.
We'll close that ink and we're going to adhere it just like this. I got it upside down, but it's not adhered to my card yet, so that's
So you're good.
I'm all good. You know how many times I've done that.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Okay. All right. So there's, I'm just getting my schmutz out of the way. So there's the card, and then let's go ahead and take those while we, before we finish here, let's go ahead and take those little bats and finish our card because we are big proponents about stamping the inside. Now I am because Betsy's trained me
Huh?
right, and stamping our envelopes to match because when I address this envelope, oops, I did it off camera. When I address this envelope, I want them to know that I'm sending them a Halloween gift. So there's card number one. Super,
Cute.
super. So give me just a second to kind of make room here and get all these extra pieces off.
So if you're watching today while she's cleaning up a little bit, yeah, definitely tell us. Do you love Halloween? Is it something that you decorate for? I know for me, one of my favorite things is I love trick or treat night. I love the little kids coming up and we sit out front with a blanket and a big cauldron full of candy and we live in a popular area, or in a downtown area, so that get a lot of trick or treaters. So it's one of my favorite nights of the year is to give
Oh,
out kids candy.
yeah, so much fun. So now we get into the graveyard scene, okay? And in my tutorial, I called this the mausoleum. That's what I'm going to stick with, the mausoleum, because it's more than just a gravestone. So here is a fun card. I've used this part right here is a little glow in the dark paper, and you're going to die cut that if you got the kit from us. You're going to die cut that with the glow in the dark paper. And then when you put it in the dark, that will shine really bright. And then we're going to add a couple little embellishments. And then I've stamped my little envelope with that little skeleton. So here are the pieces that you're going to get. And then there's some pieces that you're going to cut. So your card base is the Cajun craze. And I'm just going to start right now by folding it. Then you're going to get a couple pieces of white. One is for your outside and one is for your inside. And then you're going to get a piece of basic black, and that's going to be your layer. And then you've got a piece of wild wheat for your words. You've got a piece of the old olive paper out of the Regals pack, the 6x6 designer series paper. You've got a piece of basic gray to cut your mausoleum. And then you've got a piece of pebble path to cut a couple of the fences. So you can cut this fence this way and then, flip it, you've got two. Okay. And then you have a piece of the wild wheat for stamping and cutting out your dog, just like that. And I wanted to bring those pieces in. So, because I'm going to actually die cut for you. And then this was a glow in the dark paper. And then this I took from the designer series paper. I'm going to grab it here really quickly. I have it right in front of me.
This is one of my favorite new things that Stampin' Up does, is having the dies match.
Yeah, thank you for. Oh, well, of course, I have it in front of me, but I can't get my fingers quite on it. Here it is. This paper right here. So I grabbed the guy who was looking sideways. See, he's just looking straight forward. I grabbed the guy that was kind of looking off to the side because remember, he's got some bats coming. So he's watching for these bats coming across. So that was my idea on that. And then this is for the grass. So we're going to do, I'm going to just set some pieces aside and I'm going to bring in my little mini stamp cut and emboss machine. And we're going to do a little bit of die cutting. So we're going to die cut the fence and you can die cut 2 of them for both cards that you're going to be doing. Cause we do the kits to have, you have 2 cards, 2 packets, a packet with 2 cards. Yes, I'll get it right. And then we're just going to quickly pop out those pieces. So there's that. Then we want our little mausoleum. And the fun thing about this mausoleum, and I know you know this, Betsy, but I'm going to tell everybody else, is it die cuts and it embosses. It has some really fun embossing on it. So I'm going to run that through. A lot of times I don't die cut on camera, but I just decided that this was one of those that it wouldn't hurt to do it with that way.
No, and it fits all in the mini machine, which is excellent. The little baby machine.
So see how it embossed all the little images?
So
like
cute.
The little the details. That's what I guess what I'm saying. So this little die did the details. Now, this one right here, you got a piece that is 5.5 by, I think, 3/4 of an inch. And my dies kind of got way out of the way. And you're going to take this piece right here and you're going to be like, really? That's the grass? That is the grass. And that's what started me thinking, oh, I want to die cut. So I want to show you how that worked. So you're going to start on one end and you're going to have to run this through, I think 3 times. It's been a little bit since I did it, but it's super easy to do. And what you do end up with is 2 pieces of grass. So it's cut once and then I can line up the grass at the end, right? Like that. My grass is going to kind of go up and down, but that's okay. It's grass.
Yep. It's not perfect.
No, it's not. It's nature's things. Then I'm going to take my die off, but without moving anything. Whoops. And then the last one, we're going to go through one more time. You just overlap. What I'm saying is just overlap the last little bit. Okay, so you have to do it 3 times, but you get both pieces of grass for both cards. Okay, so let's take that off. I think we're done with that, so let's move that out of the way.
We won't warn them how much grass they have to cut on my last card.
Oh, that's true. So see how that cut both pieces?
Cute.
Yeah. So that's, yes, you have to run it through 3 times, but that's okay.
It's totally worth it.
I'm not going to run him through because I want to stamp him first. And I'm going to get my pieces back in here. I just want to make sure I don't lose anything. Okay. So let's go ahead and stamp this little dog. And I'm using Pebbled Path to do all my stamping. So here's Mr. Dog, who is all bones because there's no bones about it.
He's so cute.
And then while I have this out, I am going to bring my words back in and I'm going to stamp no bones about it. And again, it doesn't matter if I get the You're a Sweet Friend because I'm cutting them apart anyway. Okay, so there's no bones about it. All right, so we can put that ink away. We can put this away. We will bring our machine back in because we do have to cut our little pupper, little bones pupper. So there's a lot of different ways. We're all about training and teaching. So because I just am a fly by the seat of my pants girl, will usually not use any washi tape or anything. I just try to get my die on there as close as I can. I try not to move anything when I lay my top on and then I cut it. Sometimes I'm happy. Sometimes I'm not. But you can, you can also use washi tape, um,
I
or
am very much a washi tape girl. Guaranteed, it will not come out. I'll move it. It just moves all the time for me. So I'm
let's
too.
let's see how I did.
Look at that.
Think not bad, not too bad. I don't know. That's just I don't know what.
It works. It works.
So I'm
That's the
going.
great thing is everybody can kind of do it their own way, and yeah,
I lost my card, so now I can't even see if I'm supposed to cut my words about. Oh yeah,
you've probably buried it somewhere at
I
this
did.
point.
I did. Okay, so we want no bones about it.
I'm gonna say I have mine here if you need me to look it
Now
up
I
for you.
now I got it. I found it. Okay, so remember we talked about this last month. This thing we're doing with cutting words apart. You can see I did it on both of my cards. So I think that's cutting the letters apart. It just seems like something I've been doing more and more. So whether that's just a trend I've been seeing, I'm not really sure. But now I've got my pieces and I cut the little skeleton with the die right out of my paper. I just cut a little piece and then he cut out just perfectly. So I don't even have to do any stamping there. So let me set my pieces up here. And I want to show you a little technique on the black paper. So I'm using my white craft pad, and it's something that I even had to think about how to open it because this is the old style pad. It's something that we don't use that much, but you can either use a blending brush or a sponge dauber. Now I chose to use a clean blending brush, and I just need a little bit of the white, and all I'm doing is I'm creating, I might not even, yeah, see,
I can see it a little bit.
yeah, just a little. So I'm just tapping lightly and I'm bringing in a little white as a little ghosty type of. I'm going to go high here because that's where my mausoleum's going to go. And I'm going to kind of broaden that one just a little. That's all you need. Just a little ghosting. See how that's just a little ghosted? Keep this because we're going to use it on the mausoleum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my. Do I have scrap paper here? Mm-hmm. No, we're just going to make a mess. So I'm going to make this look more
That's my
like,
kind of stamping.
yeah,
Let's just
yeah,
make a mess.
yeah. So I want to make my mausoleum. I'm not worried about that because that's where my glow in the dark paper is going to go. I want to make this look more like stone. And I think using this white on here works great for that. And then I want to add a little bit of kind of making it look like, I'll say concrete or whatever. So I'm going to take my basic gray pad. I'm going to squeeze it to get ink here in my lid. I'm going to kind of move my pieces up because I don't have protection. I'm going to make a mess, but that's okay. And I'm going to take an aqua painter and I'm going to squeeze some water. You're going to see it drip into my pad. Okay. And I just want to get some of this color. And then I'm going to try to very lightly tap it. Ooh. Or not lightly. And it's going to give me a little, well, it's okay there because it's giving me a little bit of a granity, concretey. I'm not worried about the bottom because that's going to be covered up with grass. So I'm just going to stop there. So I've added some splatter. See how that just makes it look like stone? It looks even better on the camera. Do you ever hear that? Usually
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it looks better in person. No, it looks better in the camera. We're going to let that dry. This is just going to overlay over it so you won't see those super big spots. But see how much like stone that looks? All right. So I've got a little bit on here, but that's okay because that's just going to be on our little piece of paper here. We've got two pieces of paper. I want to make, I actually cut two different sizes. Okay, that's for my inside. All right, so let's go ahead and assemble. We're going to layer, oh goodness, this is a brand new adhesive so that I didn't run out mid camera view, but so it sometimes is a little finicky at the beginning. All right, so I'm going to layer the black onto just a super thin strip of white. Now you have options. So this is a little bit of a vanilla-y tint to it. You could use very vanilla very easily on this. I stayed with the white because the white in the grass. So I'm just telling you, there's like options. If you like the vanilla look, that's fine too. if you like the white. But we've learned over the last little bit that the trend is white and vanilla together. If you look through the catalog, you'll see that from this year and last year. So that's kind of something that is not unusual. You know, we've used to be that we would just do white or we would just do vanilla, but now I think we can mix them together. Okay, so now I'm going to start assembling my card, and I want to lay down my fence, and I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive just because I have really thin pieces here. Okay, and I'm going to put my fence right here. I'm going to hold it on for just a second. Then I'm going to blot this. I've got paper here. All right. And I'm going to put my little mausoleum right here, and it's okay that it goes over the top. That's the design we want. And then again with our liquid adhesive for our grass.
It's hard to pick up, right?
And I'm just going from edge to edge with that. So see what I'm doing here? I'm not keeping everything inside the box. I've gone outside the box here. I've gone outside the box there. It's bringing our image more, I'm going to say three-dimensional. That's probably not exactly the right terminology, but it's making it kind of not contained within a box. So when you're doing your stamping, think about that idea is, do I have to stay within certain parameters, or can I make my images kind of pop out? Sticking to me. And then I'm going to, oops, I got a little bit of a dimensional hanging out there. Come here, doggy.
I was just thinking, I should have grabbed my black dimensionals. I don't pull those out as much as I should, but these cards would be perfect for the black dimensionals.
Yeah, and I didn't either. I agree with you on that. Okay, and then we want to pop up this Mr. Skeleton, Mr. Bones. I think I will get my minis out at least. I don't have any black ones on my desk, but I do think I'm going to give him one at his knee. Okay. All right. So my guy here, oh, I didn't talk about one thing. I'll talk about it here in a second. All right. I didn't add my little piece of glow in the dark. Hopefully I can add that. This is the glow in the dark paper. I'm going to try to lift his little knee up. Add that right there. Oh, thank goodness that worked, huh?
Oh my gosh, okay. So cute.
So I didn't talk about the whole fact that this card says no bone about it. So we need bones, and I didn't cut any bones. So I have a piece of paper here for that. No bones. Let me get this done. And then I'm almost done. And I just like to lay my words out across my image. Just like so. No bones about it. Now we've got to cut our bones. And I've got a little piece of pecan pie. And I want to show you what the bones look like. So you might be like, oh my gosh, it's a little die. But no, look, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bones. Yes, we only need one bone, but that's okay. Because
did you call that paper pecan pie?
Did I?
Did you call it pecan? You did.
Pecan? What do you say? What
pecan.
Is
pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie. I don't know. Maybe I got a little southern.
Is it pecan? I always thought it was pecan.
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 Well,
pecan
depends on
pecan.
where you're from, I guess.
I think so.
Pecan. Yeah, you're funny. That's true. I did say that.
Since you said it, I was like, wait a second, did she say what I just think she said?
Did she just say that? Yes, she did. So our Mr. Bones is throwing a bone to his little pupper. And so we're going to need the tiniest bit of glue. And it's probably a lot easier to put it right here on his hand and lay the bone on it. Now you could add bones wherever you want to this card. We want to bring in our embellishments. And we want to add our two little bats. And I'm going to bring my take your pick tool in. I'm going to add one bat like there. And I want one of the kind of, they have a little bit of different tint. So I've got one that's kind of got the blue-green tint, and I got one that's got the orange tint. He's looking over at the bats like, no, this bone is not for you. This bone is for my pupper. I don't know. I made that up. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. But I don't like this.
You've been talking to these skeletons just a little too long, I'm thinking.
It's okay. Someone to talk to. We have whoops. Hold on. I bet I get okay. Another comment. Tell me if I'm the only one. I don't think I'm the only one. I'm just saying. So I think other people do it. So what I'm going to do is I got all those extra bones, and I'm going to take a couple bones on the inside of my card. I'm going to peel these off. Now, if I was really smart, I'd be using my take your pick tool instead of trying to get it off with my fingers. But you could just lay on as many as you wanted if you don't want to waste your bones. And then we're going to stamp a little greeting. So we're going to use the basic gray, since that's kind of our theme. And we're going to try to stamp ink, your sweet friend. I know Betsy would stamp this. Oh, I kind of got a little shadow. Can you see that?
Just a little bit, not much.
Pretend that's not there. You're going to clean your stamp. I did not clean your stamp. Clean your stamp.
Do as I say, not as I do.
That's right. Now I just hope that when I open this card, it opens up. Oh, whew.
You could stamp a bat over top of the words and nobody would even know those were there.
Yeah, no, you're right on that. That's exactly what I'm going to do, because this card is going in the mail. So I got my envelope, and I'm going to take my little, there's actually a skeleton in there that is a whole skeleton. So it's not, you don't have to just stamp the little pieces. And he just makes me happy. So he has to be on my envelope. If I wanted, I could make him French. Bonjour. But I won't. So there is my card and my envelope for.
So cute.
Yeah, super cute. So
excellent.
What do you have to show us, Betsy?
All right. So here is my first card. And I have to tell you a little story about this, because first of all, Halloween is a really big thing. But my husband's name is Richard. But in school, his mom was very clear that she wanted his nickname to be Rick, right? So in school, he was Ricky all through school. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh, well, that is perfect. I have to do the Ricky D. Bones with, of course, then the little dog and the little cat, so that is the designer series paper. So in your packets, I've done a lot of this ahead of time just so you can kind of save us a little bit of time. But I do want to talk to you about embossing on this glow in the dark paper. Okay. So in your packet, of course, you have your basic black card base. We've got a piece of crumb cake or Cajun craze for the inside and the front. We have a piece of white for the inside, and then designer series paper wise, you have that full sheet. It's a full 12 by 12 sheet, and there are tombstones along the bottom and then along the top, and you can kind of cut it down. So you can choose, like for me, Ricky, I like the Ricky, but I think for this one, I'll try to do the Rip Jack-o'-lantern. Rest in peace, I guess it is, not Rip. Rest in peace.
We knew what you meant.
You knew what I meant. Rest in peace, Jack-o'-lantern. So I'll do that one since this one already has the Ricky on it, but you can see that. you have a piece of gray, basic gray, and that's just to cut a fence. Now, the paper already has a fence, but I just felt like I wanted to be able to tuck the cat underneath it, like it was sitting on the fence, and it needed like almost like that 3D feel to it. So I went ahead and cut it, and I'm going to apply that right to the designer series paper. And then of course you have your envelope. But before we get to stamping any of that, I wanted to show you the glow in the dark paper because it does have a texture to it. When you're working with it, it does have a little bit of a feel to it. Memento ink, your regular water-based inks do not work well on this. They just smear, they don't adhere well, they don't dry. Even trying to heat set them, they just don't dry well. So you want to be sure to use either a Versamark and heat set it with powder, or you want to use a StazOn ink pad when you're using the glow in the dark paper. Now, I don't like to use the StazOn pads with my photopolymer stamps because the StazOn is just going to make this completely black. You can't really get it off. It makes it super sticky. There is StazOn cleaner, but that actually will eat away at the photopolymer stamps. So you want to be very careful about that when you're considering with stamping with a photopolymer in this kind of a situation. But what I want to do first is, and I don't know if everybody has one of these, but I just love it. It is the embossing toolkit, I believe it's called. And when you get the embossing toolkit, you get the tray. You get an embossing buddy, which is, it kind of has like almost like a cornstarchy powder in it that helps take away some of the static when you're embossing. You get these nice handy dandy tweezers. And then you get also a little brush for brushing away at that embossing powder. Now, I do keep my embossing powder in like a container. So I have mine kind of separated out. And I'm just going to pull out the silver for this one. But when you're using this, you definitely want to make sure that you're using an embossing buddy with this. It is a must. When playing with this, I found that if you stamped and you put powder on this paper, the powder stuck everywhere. I mean, it was really difficult to get off.
That's good to know.
Yes, the embossing buddy is a must. When you're using this glow in the dark paper, I highly recommend that you give it a nice good pounce with this embossing buddy and get that powder on there to give it just so that it doesn't have that staticky feel. I'm going to use my Versamark pad. I'm going to ink up the full skeleton. And then I'm going to stamp him. Now, I am going to bring my mat in because it is a photopolymer. So I want to have my mat, and I'm going to stamp him there. And I'm just going to hold him there for a second just to make sure I'm getting a really nice contact with the paper. Don't be fast when you're stamping. Give it a second. Let that ink really kind of absorb into the paper. Make sure I'm hitting all those little crevices. Now, you really can't see it until I bring in the powder. Now, when I bring in the powder, that actually did pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that.
Too.
It did not stick at all.
You're very thorough.
Yeah, see how that, it looks really good. Actually, like that looks better than what it was whenever I was testing it original on, because I was getting the powder stuck everywhere. So if I stamp this, like I didn't put powder on this side, right? So if I stamp this again, I'm hoping that it won't call me a liar. It might, but I'm hoping it won't. I hope that I can prove my point here. I'm going to go ahead and ink it again on the other side. And when I do, and I put the powder on this side, and this side doesn't have the embossing buddy on it, right? Look at it.
Oh, boy.
Can you see the difference?
Yeah, that's night and day.
Right?
Oh, goodness.
Isn't that amazing? It's like that embossing buddy really made a huge difference. No matter how much I kind of flicker away at this to try to get that extra off, it's still on there. You see it?
Yes.
So when you are heat embossing with this glitter paper, make sure, don't mind me as I put my lid back on because I will spill that in a heartbeat. Make sure that you use that embossing buddy first because it will make a huge difference whenever you go to apply or get that powder off of your paper.
Best tip ever.
Right? Yeah. So I'm not going to heat set this. You would use your heat gun. The only thing I would say to you is just don't like constantly be moving the heat gun, right? I see people do this all the time. I have my heat gun here where they're like they're moving it all the time, moving,
Yeah.
moving, moving. Don't do that. Okay. Don't do that. Find
No.
a spot, land on it, and as soon as the powder starts to melt, then you can see exactly where to go as you heat it. That way, because if you're doing this, you're not really sure what's gotten hit with the heat and what's melted and what hasn't. Whereas if you find a spot and then go, it works better. Okay.
Yes, that's I agree with you wholeheartedly. That's
It's like I find people doing that all the time where they're like waving that around. All right, I am going to, don't mind me, but I am going to change this paper out because it now has not only powder but also embossing powder all over it.
yes, good idea.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with a clean slate here. Powder everywhere. All right, so I went ahead and I did the embossing, and you can see how shiny he is.
Yes.
Right. And the puppy dog and the little kitty cat, right? So for this card, what did I do with my packet?
But what's fun with it is it glows, like it glows and you see the bones, right?
You do. When it glows in the dark, you actually can see those bones like kind of being highlighted a little bit.
So such a fun
Yep.
card.
Yep. So this one is going to go.
Did you see the back of that's like bats? That
it is.
It's like what's the word? Oh, just what's the word of that print? All of a sudden I just
like a houndstooth.
Houndstooth, and then it's got bats on it. So cute.
It is cute. It is very cute. Yeah, I'm in love with just about. I don't do a lot of Halloween cards. I know I have some customers that aren't necessarily Halloween fans, which is perfectly fine. I get that. It's not for everybody, but I just love it. My brother's birthday is on Halloween, so growing up, my mom always made Halloween a really big deal. Like the house was always decorated and we had pumpkin carving parties. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's how it was for us too. My brother made all of our costumes and I had all sisters and we all matched and it was just a fun time.
Exactly. So I'm going to put this fence on, but you can see how it goes over and I don't need the whole fence. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it here because I can do part of the fence here, right? And then I'm going to bring this one and put it over there.
Oh, good idea.
Right? So, and I don't need glue over all of it, just a couple spots. And I'm not doing the tops because I want to be able to put that little cat on there. So I'm just going to add glue to a couple places here just to kind of hold that fence on.
Do you match it on there exactly or do you leave a little shadow? It's a little hard.
I think it's offset a little bit. It's not perfect.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. It's just offset a little.
I like that.
Yeah, it kind of has like that shadow 2D, 3D look to it, right?
Fun.
So I'm going to do dimensionals on the backs of these guys. So I'm going to bring in some minis here. Put one on the back of his head. And I'm going to do, I think I did, whoops. I think I cut them to do down his legs. Do a couple on the cat. So I think what I did, and with the dimensional sheets, you can always kind of trim it. And then I just cut what I need off of it. And I think I did that so that it was kind of going up and down his legs so that I had a little bit more dimension to hold his body complete, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody do that on my card too.
Just to keep his legs from like wiggling around all over the place.
Now I want to get my other card out. Oh, that's the wrong. Well, did I do that? No, I didn't do that. Actually, I didn't put any dimensionals on his legs on my original card. I'm letting him hang free.
He might be fine. He might be fine. I love dimensionals. I use them everywhere.
Oh yeah, me too.
I probably could put it on his arms as well. For this one, I put it like he was going like around the grave there. So this one I might do, I don't know, because the grave is a lot bigger on this one. So I'm gonna bring him in just a little bit that side. And then let's see if I can tuck the cat beside him. And I just kind of tuck the tail here around the cat. So it looked like he was sitting behind the post.
Yeah.
Right? Again, that whole interactive feel that you had with your card. And then I'll bring the dog.
I think that's good.
Right about there, I think, right?
Yes.
Perfect, right? So, and then with this one, I did use a couple of the bats. I'm just gonna kind of add them here. Just floating around. There you go. Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Super cute. The designer series paper really makes this easy for creating a cute background without putting too much work into it, you know?
Mm.
And I'm going to use basic gray. I think I used basic gray. Yeah, I think I did. Basic gray for the inside. And I did the Happy Halloween. I'm going to bring my mat back in. Happy Halloween. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp the little puppy dog down here at the bottom. And then while I have him out, I'm going to go ahead and put him on my envelope as well. He is adorable.
He is
And
adorable.
there is my card. I mean, it's super fast, super easy. It's just a matter of kind of when just that big tip with the embossing, when you're using that embossing powder with that glow in the dark paper, that embossing buddy is going to make a big difference for you.
I could see that.
Yeah, the first time I did it, it was like, ooh, this isn't going to work. It's like I've got powder everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's having a heck of a time getting that off. There you go. There's my card. Isn't that cute?
Yes, very cute.
Right? And yes, they do. Their little bodies all glow in the dark, which is so adorable. Right? Okay. So there is card number 3. All right. So there's my first card. So let me reshift everything here and let me get you ready for card number 2. Now, card number 2 for me is, I'm going to say it's a little bit intense, but it was the very first thing I thought of when I saw this set. When I saw this set, I immediately thought, I need to make these bones be sticking out of the ground. When you think about certain like horror movies or, you know, a certain music video where people are coming out of the ground, didn't that make you think of that? I mean, I immediately thought I need to create a grave. They have to be like reaching out or coming to get you kind of thing, right?
Yeah. You know how last month you said you loved my wreath card. This month, that's totally my favorite. I love it. I love it.
Cutest. I just love it. Yeah. So it does like take a little bit of work to get this to happen with the little graves, the whole scene. But it goes together pretty quickly. So a lot of it I've already pre-done for you, or I've done for today. You'll do this when you get if you're getting our kits, you'll do that where you'll cut 2 pieces of fence. You'll have a piece where you'll stamp your greeting. You're going to have a piece of the designer series paper where it's got all those little tombstones, and you're just going to fussy cut out 4 of those. And what I did was I tried to go with like 4 different colors when I created it. So you want to cut out 4 of those, and I've kind of got these 4 already ready to go, already cut out for me. But that's easy to do, a little fussy cutting. And I went ahead and I already embossed and die cut all of my little limbs that are going to be coming out. And I used that right on the designer paper or on the glow in the dark paper, just like what Mary Ellen was showing you earlier when she put the legs on. What I did was I lined these up on my block and I stamped them all at once. So that's another thing you could do is like on the designer series paper, stamp it, or on this glow in the dark paper, stamp it twice. And you can be, if you're doing 2 cards, you can emboss them both at the same time then. So that is there. The deckled circles, I use the deckled circles as well. And the one you get might have a little edge cut off on the side. That is perfectly fine because we're going to end up trimming this up a little bit. But we have a black and we have a white circle. I have a piece of gray that I've used the new Distress Tile 3D folder. I love this folder. It's so pretty. And you could use either side. I think either side looks great. If you got this kit, you can use any embossing folder that you have at home. You have your piece for the pieces for the inside, and then of course your card base. Now, when it came to the grass, I wanted to have all this grass and like dirt at the bottom. So what I did was in your package, you're going to have some you're going to have strips of crumb cake and old olive. And what I did was I took a little bit, talking about washi tape, I took a little bit of washi tape and I taped those 2 pieces together so that when I ran my die through, I had to run it back and forth, like in and then back out again, but I was able to cut both pieces at the same time.
Oh, good.
Right? So that then when I cut my grass, okay, and I take that little piece of designer series paper off the end, I'll just have to trim off that little end there. So if I trim that here, I have all of this is my grass for the bottom. And just like what Mary Ellen says, you get both pieces. And I'm going to use probably all of this to create this card. I'm going to have all those pieces there. And I want to add, the first thing I want to do is add a little bit of color to these. So I'm going to kind of push all this aside. And we'll come back to these pieces. So I want to show you this first. So I want to take, I'm using blending brushes, and I'm using several different ink colors. I'm going to go ahead and use crumb cake on the crumb cake. So I'm going to use crumb cake, and all I'm doing is just kind of like smushing it, right? I just want to kind of smush it around. I want to get different kind of texture to it. I want to have different parts of it being darker than other pieces. So I'm just kind of smushing it around on there, right? And then I'm going to set that aside to dry. I'm going to do the same thing with the old olive pieces with the old olive ink. And it just kind of gives it some texture to have some parts be darker than other parts, just like your grass typically is, right?
That's that little attention to detail. Could they do it without it? Yes. But this really just makes it special.
Right. Just gives it that little bit extra, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead and leave those ink pads open. And I want to create I'm going to set those aside. And what I want to do now is I want to create kind of like my scene. Now my fence are going to go probably around there. So when I'm thinking about my sky up here and my ground down here. Now the grass is going to cover a good bit of that, but I want to have like a nighttime scene. So the first thing I'm going to do is come in with some crumb cake first. Okay. And I'm just doing some shading along this bottom part. I know the grass is probably going to cover it, but I just want to bring that up into where my fence line is going to be going, right?
Right.
So I'm going to add a little bit of crumb cake. Start light. You can always go back and add a little bit more color later. Now I'm going to come in with some green and kind of just, and if it's blotchy, you know what? I'm okay with that. Because this is like a grave site. This is a grave scene and a cemetery, and I want it to be kind of blotchy. I'm going to come in next with my Misty Moonlight.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Right? And I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my sky up here at the top. Now, I want my sky pretty dark. So I'm going to kind of keep going at this sky a little bit. Oh, I got some streaky going on there. That's all right. We'll make
I
it
think
work.
that's fine.
We will make it work,
A
right?
spooky night sky. Yeah.
Exactly, right?
I think no matter what your thing looks like, it'll look great.
I think so. I think it just kind of gives it that, like like the white that you're doing with the sky, the white that you were doing
Yes.
just to the black to kind of give it that misty look.
Mm-hmm.
This is just creating like this night sky
Yeah, it
that I
looks
want to
good.
work with, right? So I
Yeah.
think that looks good with the blue. And then I'm going to bring in Cajun Craze because I feel like it's like there's just like this little hint of either a sunrise or a sunset kind of coming in right there,
Oh,
right? Like it's just like the sun is either setting or it's just getting ready to come up. It's just dusk, and I can hold my fence over top of it. And you see how that just kind of creates that little bit of a sky
yeah.
behind it, right? You could bring that up into the blue a little bit if you wanted to, down in. So there's no right way or wrong way. It's just creating a sky that, or a background scene that looks good to you, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you could put a moon in there or whatever. I think it
Exactly. Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
You could easily do that. Yeah. With a post-it note, punch a circle with a post-it note, create a little bit of a lighter moon in there. That'd be
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah.
I speckle it with the white crafting to get some stars
Oh,
going on
yeah.
in there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All of those are really good ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you do yours, when you do yours, make sure you're sharing.
Yes, we would love to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
I please. All right. So I'm going to go here. I don't want to go too high because that means I need to add more grass if I go too high. So I want to kind of bring that down a little bit. I'm going to put my fence line in. Don't worry if you overlap. So like here, I'm overlapping. We're going to be overlapping quite a bit, and we'll trim off whatever we don't need once we go to put this together. So I'm just kind of putting that there. Then what I want to do is I'm going to work with my tombstones next. And what I did when you fussy cut out paper, something out of like designer series paper, sometimes it gets like you don't get it perfectly edged. We'll use a Stampin' Right marker, and I'm going to use the smoky slate marker, and I'm going to use the new. Did you know that our markers have been redone? That these are newly designed. They're very different. They're slightly different. This cap is a little bit smaller than what we had before. This brush end is a little thicker, a little sturdier and stronger, okay, than it was before. And then this end is brand new, which is like a bullet end. It reminds me a little bit more of the blends, and it writes so smooth. It's very nice.
Love them.
Right? Yeah, very happy with these new markers. Bought myself a whole new set because I like them so much. All right, so what you're going to do is all I do is run right where you've cut the fussy cut part. I just run the marker right over top of that edge. That way, then any of the designer series paper that might have an edge to it is covered up, and it looks like it's just the outline of your little fussy cut piece, right?
This is like one of those secret, like, oh, I'm going to equate it to when you're watching people who make bread and you always go, oh, I wish I knew their little secrets,
Right, right.
little secret to make it. You always think, why does their stuff look so good? This
Yep.
is the secret.
Just a little secret so that you don't, so if you don't get it straight or you don't get it perfect when you're fussy cutting, and some people are not great fussy cutters or they don't like to do it, this just helps kind of cover up those little areas where you might have fussy cut and you didn't get it quite straight, right? That
Yeah.
way I didn't have to worry about when I was putting it together. And what I'm going to do is just kind of lay these out to get a scene on either side. See that?
Yeah.
So that I have my grays. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere those down. And again, I know that I'm going to probably be cutting part of this off, but that's okay. Oops. Just kind of adding them there. All right, so there are my graves next to my fence, right? Okay, now what I want to do is I want to start to adhere the grass. And what I was doing is, you've got way more than what you need. So I actually started to like start at one end and then I cut off, and then I can keep using the additional pieces. So I'm going to add just a little bit of, I think I started with crumb cake first. So I want some ground cover first. And we're just kind of building this scene. Don't go super tight here because we do want to tuck in our little limbs as they're coming out of our grave. I think I need a little bit more on this end. And then I'm just going to trim right there. Because again, I know I'm going to trim that off. Then I'm going to go in with a layer of the green. And I'm just going to build my little grassy scene here. And trim. And I'm just going to keep doing that. I went back and forth. I did crumb cake, green, crumb cake, old olive, crumb cake, old olive. Just kind of building as I go. Cute, right?
So cute. Learn stuff every time.
Right?
Can't do this idea.
Just kind of creating, I just try to cover up so there's no gap. But if there is, like if you had brown down here, if you use the crumb cake down there, that's all right. It'll kind of cover that up. And then just keep building until you come down off the page, off your circle. Probably could have had part of this done for you already, so it didn't take quite so long. Ooh, am I going to have enough? I might have enough.
Well, we got the idea anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to have enough.
I think so. I think I planned it so that I would. So when you're putting yours together, if you have this packet, just don't go too high with your fence. Because if you go too high with your fence, then that means that you're going to need more grass, right? If you go too high. Oh gosh, look at that. I think I'm going to use every piece. How about that?
It looks so cool though.
Right. And again, don't worry if you're going over, because we're going to let that dry a little bit and then we're going to trim that up. Okay. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add my little limbs. And I'm just using a little bit of liquid glue on these, but I tried to lay them out a certain way because some, like this leg's a little bit higher. So I'm just going to lift my grass and I'm going to kind of tuck that in underneath. Okay. Where I want it to come out. Come here. I might have glued that down a little bit too well. But you know what? That's okay, because I can just cut off the bottom of the leg and then tuck. See what I mean? So
Yes.
you don't have to have exactly. You're just tucking a little bit underneath. I might actually do that with all of these. Just take those down a little shorter. Cutting off that extra. And just kind of lay them out where you want them to go so you know exactly where they're going to fit in before you adhere them down. Make sure that they're coming through the way you want them to. Right? Something like that. Right? Cute.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I just used a little bit of liquid glue to adhere those in. I did. I saw this and I was like, I need to make it so that there's limbs coming out of the grave. There are a couple movies that are videos and things like that where we've seen this before, I'm sure, where you've seen these little guys coming out. So there is my little scene. So let me set that aside just to let that dry there for a second. Let all that adhere. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my card base together. Put my distress tile on. Actually, I should have waited to do that, but that's all right. I can make it up. I can make it work. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my greeting. And you could leave it as one if you wanted to, just like this. Now, I had separated mine, but I'll leave this one whole so you can kind of see the difference. For the inside, I did use the one that says, same one you've been using, the no bones about it, right? Because we've got all these little bones.
Yeah.
No bones about it. You're a sweet friend. And then I just added a little random leg in the inside. And I also did that for the envelope. Just some random little foot. Floating around out there in nowhere land, just wandering around looking for the rest of his body.
Okay.
Can you tell we had a lot of fun with this set? My
Oh,
goodness.
so much fun, right?
Right? It's like, geez, you gotta do something different. And if there's anything you guys see or have in the catalog, or there's something you like, let us know. We definitely want to know what you're interested in, what we can play with that you guys might want to see. I don't know about you, but there's only so many flowers a girl can work with after a certain point. But sometimes it's good to have some fresh, something different coming through, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
we've had so much fun just kind of thinking outside the box on some of these
exactly
things recently. So
yeah, just trying to figure out a different way.
Yeah, we're glad you're tuning in.
Now this is the deckled circle, so it's kind of like it's not straight. So when I'm cutting these, I'm not cutting them straight on. I'm kind of like wiggling my scissors a little bit to give them more of like the ragged cut that goes with the deckled circle itself. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I wondered how you were going to do that.
Just kind of making it up. Just kind of making it up.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Just kind of giving it a little trim here and there. Because there's no right with the deckled, it's like it doesn't even matter. You could cut it wherever you wanted to. And if you cut into the circle a little bit, who would know with these deckled?
No, and it makes it so much better to be able to lay everything on there and then go back and trim it after. So
absolutely. Yep. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put these two pieces together. All right. So I'm going to add some adhesive to this, and then this is going to go on my front. Now, if when I cut mine for my packets, I just used a 4 1/4 inch piece. And so it didn't cut the whole circle, but that's okay because we're going to trim that up once I put it on the card, because we're going to give it a little bit more of a trim once it goes on here. Because I kind of liked it having this kind of like half circle or a little edge off of it.
Yes.
Almost like you were peeking into a window somehow.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that.
So if you do that, like you could do that on this piece before you adhere it, but because I already adhered it, I can make it work. I can make it work. So I'm going to come in here and do it this way. That way it has a little bit of a border over here. Figure out where that's going to go. And then again, just kind of flip it over and trim it. Now you're cutting through like several layers, so you got to kind of keep cutting on that one a little bit because you're cutting through quite a few layers there. But there you go. Cute, right?
Yes.
And then with the greeting, you could do it just like that. And I just did it with adhesive. I didn't even pop it up. And then the last thing that I did was I added a little ghost. Somewhere are my embellishments. There they are.
Well, you have to have ghosts in the graveyard, right?
Right, exactly. So I just had a little ghost coming off the greeting. And there, look, isn't it cute?
Yeah, it's super cute.
It's just like this little fun graveyard scene that it's just like, oh my gosh, I love it so much.
I do too.
So there's no right way or wrong way. It's just a matter of shading it. Just be really careful with that glow in dark paper when you're working with it, because it does have a little bit to it. So this was a long video, and we're so glad. If you're still sticking with us at this point, you are committed, and we are committed right there with you. So thanks everybody for joining us. We hope you had as much fun as we did. Hope you like the cards as much as, and please subscribe to our channels. That's helping us know that you're loving us and you're enjoying it, and you don't want to miss the next thing that we do, right?
That's right. We really appreciate you.
Anything else, Dad? All done?
I think that's it.
Yay, no bones about it, baby. We did
No
it.
bones about it.
All right, everybody, have a good month.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.